4?
Yeah, episode 4. Imagine not
Yeah.
knowing.
Okay. Cool. Perfect.
This guy's
Give me a
fired.
cut me some slack, bro. You wanna host it yourself? No worries. I'm out. I'm gonna go take a nap. It's all good. All right. 3, 2, 1. We are live. Welcome to the Player Div Podcast, episode 4. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us. Today we got a really cool guest. Someone who I guess arguably you could say is possibly my boss in the TFT Discord server. We have Twyla today, who is the lead coach. Oh my god, the lead coach.
you sleep.
I know, right? I really do. Uh, do we just restart that? I think we just restart.
Oh, we don't restart it. Keep
Yeah.
it going. What he meant was
No,
lead.
don't restart it. Keep it. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Right.
Uh,
Right. I'll
so,
do him in.
I'm down to be coach.
yeah, you want to be lead coach? So we actually have Twyla today, the lead events organizer. Like, what is the actual title? Lead event team.
Lead
Like,
event
what is it?
staff.
Lead event staff. Thank you. And of course, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host Lucinder. Twyla, how are you doing today?
I'm
this
doing
point, I'm
just
a host.
great. Well, apparently now I'm a lead coach. I have some more responsibilities under my belt. So let me just ping Nair about that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sure he'll know exactly what we're talking about. So Twyla, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem. My pleasure, my pleasure. So we actually prepared like a lot of stuff to talk about today, but for the 5 people at home who don't know who you are, how would you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is Twyla. I am the lead event staff in the TFT Discord, not coach. I've been in the TFT Discord for 6 months now or so. Uh, I'm a pretty average gamer. I played Osu for a bit, and now I'm playing TFT due to a hand injury from playing Osu that much. And I peaked in Diamond 3 in set 3.5.
You know, just gonna add, when you became like event staff, I had no idea who you were. Like, I never seen you ever talk in Discord. You suddenly pop out of nowhere, and I was like, "Welcome, here's new staff." I was like, "What the fuck?" They came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've become event staff pretty quickly. I don't know if you remember that event, but there was a TK sponsored tournament back in September, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
That's when I joined the Discord, and I was like joining just to play the tournament, but turns out that at the time silver players cannot beat masters.
not,
But
not in
yeah,
time.
I've joined, and the amount of people that were confused still by the instructions on how to join the tournaments, like the amount of questions that day, was insane. And I was the one responding pretty much all of the time. And at some point, Nate and Calypso hit me up and they were like, "Yo, do you just want to join event staff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Sweet.
Oh,
That's 100% them. It's like, hey, I don't do any work, but since this guy wants to do all the work, give it to him.
true.
PG.
And how long has it been now since you've been event staff and also since you become lead?
I've become lead. Fuck, was it 2 months ago? I think it's 2 months ago. Um,
I mean, we can always check the staff announcements.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah, 2 months ago. Oh no, a month ago. A month ago. It
A
was
month ago.
the 4th of April. So a month and 10 days ago.
So yeah, a month ago, and I was pretty much event staff like the month I joined. So 6 months ago. too. I've become lead mostly because we needed someone to at least organize the tournaments because only the lead event has the right to open the channels and everything. And since basically no one was responding when Nair asked who wanted to be lead event, I just said, "Yo, I know how to use the bot, how to do everything. I'm down to just take on the mental and keep the tournaments going smoothly."
Interesting, interesting. So that's definitely preparation meets opportunity. So you got a little lucky there, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be that invested in the community that fast, but it just happened.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, I actually want to circle back to like, how did you find this community to begin with? So, how did you start with TFT? I know we talked a little bit about what you were doing before TFT, but I'm actually like really curious.
Yeah, so I think I was on Reddit at that time or Twitter, I can't remember. And I saw an announcement that a tournament for money was running on TFT, and I've been playing since set one, but I only took it sort of competitively, I'm gonna say, or at least seriously, uh, in set three. And I was like, the tournament is on set three. I'm going to play it, and I'll see what I do. Uh, but I got my ass handed to me, and I got kicked on round two. But you know, silver. That's that's never gonna beat a master. And that's when I joined the TFT Discord and pretty much started taking TFT more seriously from that point on.
Amazing. Yeah, it always seems like after you get your ass kicked in TFT, that's when that's when most people come and find the community. So, for those who don't know, Twyla is also at the unofficial official TFT Discord server that we're actually hosting. There's a player diff channel and everything. You can join us at discord.gg/teamfight tactics. Um, so Twyla, before you came to TFT, and this is actually like a large segment that I think we really should be talking about, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this topic at all. But in your intro, you said you were an average gamer, but in reality, you were not an average OC player at all, were you?
Uh, in my head, I like to think that I was average, but I ranked in the 20,000 highest ranking in OSO, which basically made me in the top 10 of Belgium. Um, and I've been playing a bit of competition in OSU. Never went really far because the gap between top one Belgium and top 10 is like insane. And I really wanted to clear that gap, and I played OSU for 8 hours a day, never stopping, and more importantly, never warming up. And at some point, I was just playing and playing, and my wrist started hurting like crazy. And that's when I had to check, and I basically had some wrist injury. I can't remember the name, but I just couldn't play Osu anymore, not at the same level at least. And from there, I had to start playing games that were less intensive, which is when I started playing TFT.
Crazy. All right. So first off, that's probably like the equivalent of like a like a challenger TFT player saying they're garbage. I mean, top 10 in Belgium is pretty crazy, and that just sounds like unrelenting dedication, which I admire extremely much. So, what are OSU competitions like?
Um, there, there's two types of competition, and I think it's in like that in every game. There's the in-person competitions and online. And also, you can do online pretty easily because like the way the servers see how the players are doing the songs and each game synchronizes it at the end. But I've done some lands on it. It's pretty crazy because everyone pretty much knows each other because it's a small community. At least when you start getting into the top 100 of your respective country. Now, I will say that for some countries you need to be higher because the amount of player differing in each country is a factor to take into account. But yeah, I loved going to in-person tournaments, but now I don't anymore, and I've stopped playing Osu altogether. I still do play it from time to time, but not competitively.
So for those who don't know, Osu is basically like a rhythm clicking game, right? It's a
Yes.
rhythm game using primarily the mouse, right?
Uh, you use the mouse if you want to play it casually. The way I was playing it is I have a tablet which is used for aiming and is basically the mouse cursor, and then you tap on the
Oh yeah,
keyboard.
okay, yeah. I've definitely seen I've definitely seen Osu footage of people using a tablet. So that's like just like meta for
Yeah,
competitions.
yeah, that's the meta. Now there's one player that uses the mouse in really high ranking, but he's crazy.
Interesting. And like are the songs like are the songs picked by the tournament organizers? How does that work?
The songs are picked from the organizers, but they're also picked from the most popular songs at the time of the tournament.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So I'm really excited for the conversations we're gonna have today regarding TFT and climbing because you do come back from you do come from a pretty competitive background, but I actually wanted to get into like your injury if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you're playing one day and like your wrist hurts. What happens next? Like, do you just keep playing and then what happens?
Oh no, I like when I say it hurts, I'm like I have to drop everything and basically rush to the hospital in some way. I didn't go to the hospital, but that's how it felt that I should have been doing. Uh, but
Oh,
I
that's pretty rough. Okay.
but I went to the to the doctor and I said so I was playing and basically using my wrist a whole lot because I play jump maps. If for those that do not know what jump maps are, it's basically when one note is on the top left of your screen and the other note is at the bottom right. So you have to do crazy wrist movements. And they were like, "Yeah, you probably hit a nerve or whatever in it. You should go to the hospital and have it checked," which I did. And they said, "Yeah, it's gonna stay like this for a while. You might still experience pain if you start doing some prolonged exercises on your wrist. There's basically nothing we can do about it."
Jeez. So that's extremely scary for me, like somebody who spends all day on the computer, whether it's working or playing games, and then like I really couldn't imagine like if I had limited movement or like I could only use the mouse for like a few hours a day. What is it like for you now?
Now it's alright since I don't play intensive games. But when I go back to Osu and play, I can do like two songs and then I have to stop. And basically, every two songs, I just have to stretch my wrists, or I'm just gonna have the same pain. And so I stop. I just stretch my wrist. For those who want some exercises, go on YouTube, type wrist exercise for gamers, and you will find everything that I do on there. It's really important to do it if you're gonna start playing competitively in high intensive games.
For sure. You know what? Send those to me, and I'll put those into the description because I think those are worth checking out. I think like it's funny because we want TFT, we want just games in general to just become esports, right?
Yeah.
But you don't like really think about like the physical aspects of esports. I mean, there's obviously like nutrition and mentality, but at the same time, like your physical health also matters as well. And I don't know, I actually don't know anybody who plays games other than you that actually does like some sort of hand stretches. So I mean, it sounds like is your injury like recoverable, or is it just pretty much you have to deal with it for
It's pretty much I have to deal
onwards?
with it.
Okay. Yeah, that's scary, man. I remember we were talking about this earlier, right? It was Uzi who
Yeah.
in a video he said like his doctor said that his arms were like 40 years old, and it's crazy when you think about it because it's something I guess it's just something we take for granted, like all the time, right? It's like, oh, I've been using my hands my whole life. I'll be able to use my hands now.
You mean
Yeah.
Uzi?
What?
Not Uzi. His name is not Uzi. It's Uzi. It's like his name is
Oh,
like
is it
letters.
is it
It's
UZI?
yes, Uzi. It's not Uzi. Yeah.
I mean, everyone says Uzi, no?
No, no, no. If you watch Chinese broadcast, his name is like Uzi, or they call it Xiaogao, which is
Oh,
a
that
little dog.
that's like people who are saying Luxinder and Lucinder,
Yeah,
right?
I was actually about to say that. I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to make that joke.
But I'm pretty sure it's like even like an NA in English one, it's like all UZI. They never call them UZ.
I've
I
always
know
heard
that.
Uzi.
The only reason I know that is because I love watching him play. I followed RNG like the whole time when he was on it with Xiaohu and MLXG, right? Those
Yeah.
the trio, and then Ming as well. That shit was lit. The golden days.
Do you still follow him? Do you know if there's any updates on his health or like his hands,
I
his
personally
wrists
don't
in
follow
particular?
him anymore because I haven't like because it's hard to watch like Chinese streams and stuff like that. So it's like really hard to follow this stuff. But yeah, so I actually don't know what happened to him in the end. Hopefully he's recovering.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Right. I mean, it's like Lux. Have you ever thought about doing hand stretches? Like,
I'm always like stretching my hands when I play though. So yeah. I'm never in a situation
interesting,
where it's like it's locked into thing. I'm always like pulling back my fingers and stuff like that. Like doing like
interesting,
stretches.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what? We
that's.
should we should look for like some sort of like physician or a doctor to talk about this because I feel like I'm completely unaware of like how to take care of my hands and wrists. And like, sure, I have this concept of like stretching them, but I don't actually know what I'm doing. Like, the hands are so complex. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm just like stretching it. But you know, the hands is what brings me money in the future, so I need to take care of it. If you have
Yep,
anything
yep,
like
yep,
you need these
yeah,
hands, right?
for
Or you
sure.
can't do shit.
Twyla, are you seeing like a hand specialist now, or is it just like your general physician?
It's my general physician, but I don't see them that often since now I do those hand stretching and everything while I'm gaming. It's the hand hurts, like it's my right hand, but it's bearable. It's not like I have to stop everything and just put my hand in ice.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's good. Well, I'm happy to hear that for sure. Um, I'm definitely gonna check out some stretching videos. Now it's like you kind of spooked me. Now I feel like I have to do stretching now.
Oh
It's
yeah, like no joke. It's important. Like if you want to keep your competitive level for as long as you can, just take care of your hands.
Yeah, for sure. Like without these hands, you won't be able to do much in life.
True.
Well, I'm sure there are people without hands who find a way. So, but definitely take care of what you got, right?
Yep.
You don't know what you have until it's gone.
You don't know what you have until it's gone. Yeah, that's absolutely
Yeah.
correct. So Twyla, so we've talked about so we've talked about your hands. Let's segue into like TFT. I feel like we were talking about this earlier, how like it's cool how TFT is not such a micro intensive game. Because I've been playing League since like season one, right?
Hmm.
I had a whole like I'm just gonna play Vayne, and like really sweaty micro phase, right? And now that I don't know if it's like because I'm getting older or like the medical conditions that I have, but it's like my hands just definitely aren't as nimble as they used to be. So TFT is like really a cool game to just like slow down into and play without having to like destroy your hands all the time.
TFT can be micro intensive, but you who only played keepers and just AFK with one positioning don't understand what it's like. All right,
Oof.
just letting you know
Okay. Sure. All
that.
right. Educate me. Educate me. Sure. Go ahead.
Educate, bro. If you don't fucking sky every single turn and you don't fucking sweat and you're wondering why you lose, it's like, well, there's the reason why. It's like if you don't scout who you're playing, you don't position for the people you're gonna play, right? And if you lose the fight or you lose the game because of that, you know what I mean? Especially the last few fights, the very, very crucial ones that's gonna push you beyond like top four. It's like if you don't decide to micromanage your stuff, you're gonna just hurt yourself over it, and it's gonna be bad. You know what I mean? Like TFT can be pretty micro intensive, right? Like scouting, last minute changing. Like imagine moving 8 units with a span of 2 seconds. Like it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying it's not.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's not. I'm
but
saying it's less micro intensive than League of
yeah,
Legends.
for sure, it's less, but it still can be intensive, right? It just
Sure.
depends
I'm
how
not
people play
disagreeing
it.
with you there.
Yeah, but keep a player over
So,
here.
sorry to offend you, Mr. TFT head coach.
I'm not head coach. That's Twyla.
True. You're offending
We're all
me.
head coaches now. Sorry, Lino. Your
It's
his
time
time has
to
come and now it's gone.
Saying that my game is not micro intensive? Who are you to say that?
Yeah. Clearly a keeper player.
Clear, yeah, definitely. Set five keeper one trick for sure.
Yeah. What are you
You
even
know
playing
what?
now?
Kenneth's my
I
boy.
haven't played Keeper that much, even when it was strong, because I was getting my ass kicked every time when I played it, or because I just wasn't hitting.
No, keeper is fucking great. There's like the only positioning you have to think about is like, am I doing left side or am I doing right side? And that's it. That's
Uh,
that was it. There's like
and
no
it's like,
positioning to it.
am I playing one Zaya 3 or two Zaya 2s?
Pretty much, right? Pretty like super hard decisions to make. Absolutely. Um, so Twyla, we've talked a little bit about Osu. Sorry, I just totally forgot the game name. We talked about Osu. We talked about your hands. Uh, Lux fought me a little bit about the micro of TFT. Right.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear like your point of view, and we've talked about this a bit of like as a competitive gamer coming from competitive Osu, right? Uh, Currently, right now, your peak is Diamond 3. Is that right?
Yep.
Perfect. So since we do have a coach here, and you've been waiting for your coaching session, let me ask you like as a competitive player, you probably already know like there are things that you're lacking in your game, or there are things in your game that aren't as strong as they could be, right? You're probably aware of a lot of things, right?
Hmm.
So, as a competitive gamer who hasn't passed diamond yet, like what are some of the things that you're currently struggling with, and let's actually just start there. Yeah, what are you struggling with?
As of now, I think that what I struggle with the most is transitioning, because I try to play strongest board in the early levels, and then I have my items. I slam them when I can, when I have item holders, and I'm like, okay, what does this board actually transitioned into. My brain just goes, you don't know, you don't have the knowledge of how to take these items and put it on an other carry and just go from there. So I usually find myself either running trades that are completely trash, or just giving up, bleeding health, and then when I finally hit, I'm way too low to even uh, hit top four.
All right, Lex, I'm gonna pass this one on to you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, obviously, when you slam items, right, you have to understand what's good items to slam, what's like flexible items to slam, right? That's the most important part. It's like, you can't just like see two fucking components just slam. It's like fuck it, you know what I mean? I just want to randomly slam a what's a bad item right now? I actually don't know. The one is like pretty good.
Trap Claw, stage
Trap.
2 Trap
Okay,
Claw.
okay. You get fucking. You have a glove, a cloak, and a belt opener, right? And instant slam a QSS straight away. And it's like, hold on a second, why the fuck are we slamming a QSS at 2-1 when next turn you could hit something better? Like you hit a hurricane BT or something like that, right? It's like, or you slam a trap claw. It's like, why would we need a trap claw at 2-1? Like, yeah, I understand there's like certain items you want to slam that's flexible into like certain comps, right? Usually when you're slamming flexible items, you want to slam something that's like, okay, these items are going to get carried either to your main tank or your main DPS, right? So this way, when you're searching comps, it's usually revolved around what your main DPS's items are, right? Who can play these items that I slammed? For instance, right now, a really popular slam is Bloodthirster and Wristthirster, right? More Bloodthirster than Wristthirster, right? And there's like your three main comp stacking player, your Jax, your Draven, and your Phileas, right? So this can carry on to every single set. Last set can be like IE for Talon, Jin, Ash, or like IE for like Aesol, Olaf, Tryndamere, Talon, kind of stuff like that, right? It's always like that. You have to understand what the meta is. So basically, when you're slamming these flexible items, you know what your carry is going to be. And then you have to understand, okay, cool. What do these carry comps look like when they're like level 8? Right? That's one thing you have to understand. So when you have this in your mind, okay, cool, I have BT, I'm looking to play Phileas, Draven, or Jax. And when you're rolling down, and whatever you hit first, it's like, okay, I hit Phileas first. In your head, you should be able to know, okay, cool, what is this board? Like, what do I have to play? And then you play that board, right? Sometimes you'd be like, I don't know the other two. I just know this one. So I've just looked for that one, right? That's how you pivot from your current comp, whatever you're playing, to strong board. Then you want to pivot to your end game comp so you can actually don't bleed out, right? That's the process of pivoting. And also another thing that people do is that they try to roll 50, 60 gold down in one turn. It's like, no, like stop trying to act cool. Like it doesn't work like that. Like, do you want to win the game or do you want to just bot 4 and try to look cool, right? Take 2-3 turns to transition, right? During a PvE round, usually people transition 5-1. So at 4-7, you should be switching out your board, right? You can have a whole board of one star units, and you'll still beat the game, beat Raptors. So you don't need to be like, I'm gonna save that 2-3 econ to keep my 50 gold, right? Like just roll down to 30, right? Hit what you can hit. The next time you finish the rest. So this way you have a smoother transition. So you don't get dizzy with the items. You don't get dizzy with so many units on the bench, right? And this way at 5-1, when you go to PvP, you don't take infinite because your board is half pivoted, right? That's like the mentality of pivoting, right? This is something like a lot of people don't understand that fact because they try to like do everything in one turn, right? As soon as you take it into 2-3 turns, it will feel a lot smoother. You get your stuff together, you'll be less confused, and you don't take a lot of damage.
Yeah, that's true, because what I do right now is I basically, so I play strongest board, right? And then I have a website with the comps, the uh, popular comps on the side. I'm like, okay, I know that this item I will need, this I will need, like let's say uh, Hurricane and Bloodthirster for Jags. But then I'm like rolling at 7, and I'm like, okay, which actual units do I need to hit? Because I just can't have enough info, and also who to take out one by one. Like, let's say I have Leona on my board. Like, does that go out first, or does another unit that I have go out first when I'm mid transition?
In that
So
case,
it's
it's you first
go
finish.
ahead.
I was gonna say in that case is like you replace your carry with a carry and you replace your front line with your front line, right? So whatever you hit, you replace it, right? You don't want to like replace with people things that's like lower quality. You want to make sure they're stronger than your current board, right? There's no reason to replace a strong front line with a higher cost but less upgraded, so they end up being weaker and they don't actually cost. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really
Yeah,
make any sense, right?
like there that doesn't make sense to basically, like, let's say,
Downgrade your
replace
board.
Leona with Tarek, for example, if Leona's two and Tarek's one, right?
Yeah. Like in some cases, yes, but if you want to have your main front line, you really want them to be upgraded because they're gonna take the most damage, right? If they
Yeah.
don't have enough HP, they're just not gonna take enough damage and they're just gonna die before they do anything.
Does that make sense, Twyla?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll probably still take some coaching
Your
at some
coaching's
point,
right
but
now. Your coaching's right now. We're doing it live,
You
right?
yeah,
streaming a
yeah,
live
but
coaching?
it's not the same as having either a VOD review or even a live game. Uh, Not backseating, because I hate backseating.
Yeah.
But for reviews, or even the way I had coaching in set three, I played with Bon, and basically, I played the first game all on my own, and he was just watching and taking notes. And then after the game, he said, "Okay, this, you're doing wrong. Uh, this is how you should be doing it. That's what you need to keep in mind." And then the next game, it was basically me asking, "Oh, so should I do this? Should I position like that?" And that's how we basically went 1-1 in uh, both games, because at the time, static was a busted item. But yeah, like, I learned a lot from that coaching, and I feel like I need some more. And there's no shame in asking for some coaching, which you can have some in our Discord. Feel free to join.
Nice
For
plug.
sure.
Nice
Well,
plug.
definitely definitely coaching is probably the easiest way how to level up your game, and we've already discussed coaching at length on the show. Uh, so I don't really feel like we need to hammer in on that point.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think there's also a discussion here that we can have that can actually provide some value to the people at home. So, Twyla, if you would, let me ask you, like, what are you doing right now to learn the comps to play? You mentioned that you're
Uh,
using this website guide.
yeah, it's basically, we have a command on our Discord, which shows the most popular comp. And what I'm trying right now is learning most of the units that go into specific comps. Um, and there's always some units that come in pretty much every comp. Like, you have Rel, for example, which I feel like is in everything.
She is. She is. 100%. One of my favorite units in the game.
Yeah, she's good. Like, when you position your, I don't, if you're playing her with an assassin, like, when you position the assassin correctly to stun the whole backline, it feels so great.
So I
Uh,
want to be wary about talking too much about the current set because things change so quickly in this game that it just might not be relevant in like a few weeks. But I feel like there's also some tangible things here. Like I got a bone to pick with a lot of guides, right? Like a serious bone to pick, and there's going to be a point for us in player diff where we actually start creating our own guides because primarily just I am so completely unsatisfied with the guides that are out right there, and here's why, right? Is that what the guides will show you is like, hey, these are the units that you're gonna play, and these are the items. And sometimes if you're lucky, it's like, here's what your level 5 board should look like. And it's just like, that's it. That's
Yeah,
primarily it. And the problem with that is that now you have a frame of reference of, oh, I'm supposed to look like this at level 8. And then what do you do when the game gives you something else? Right. And I think that's really
EFF
like the
go
root of the
next.
problem that you go ahead, Lux.
EFF go next.
Yeah, like I think that's the root of the problem that you're really having right now, Twyla, is that when you follow this guide, it's like you know where you need to end up, but it doesn't even show you the way how to get there, right? So
yeah,
when you get lost, like when it gives you completely different units, the guide has not properly informed you on how to play it, right? Like for me, what I like to do is I like to break down comps in terms of like functionality. Like Kale's pretty easy to understand. Kale is like just survive the fight for as long as humanly possible. So even if you don't get the exact units that you needed, right? You understand the functionality of like, okay, does this unit help me survive the fight for as long as possible or no? Right? And then you can make the decision from there, right? So let me ask you, as a as a keeper one trick, how many times are you playing the comp before you switch to another?
I haven't really one tricked anything. But basically, when the game doesn't give me the units that are in the comp that in my head I want to play in that game because I try to have a plan of the comp that I want to play. I just look at what I hit and I try going into another comp, but then I'm like, oh, the units aren't the same, so I'm just selling and trying to hit the other thing that I'm going to pivot in. But as you said, yeah, there's a the majority of guides are just hit these units and win, and then you're like, okay, but like, why would I play this character instead of another? In certain situation, maybe it's better to basically have, let's say, ironclad in, and in some other cases, it's better to have mystics. So it would be great if more guides had the flex spots shown and have some explanation on basically just why you should play that unit in which circumstances and other things like that. I agree with that.
Yeah, so I am super down to go a little bit more into this. And Lux, this is me giving you like a 30-second warning that I'm going to pass the mic to you, and we're going to dig deep, and we're going to try and come up with some good content for the people at home here. I feel like here's the interesting thing is that last season in set 4.5, I only played keepers. Like there was a period at the beginning when I was learning the game where I was just kind of like playing flex, and then I was like, okay, there's actually a lot more for me to realize or for me to learn. So I'm just gonna play one comp and just like learn the rest of the game. And last season I played about like 250 games of keepers. And
You're crazy.
and I'll tell you right now, like I don't feel like I even came close to learning 80% of keepers. Like when I talk to other challenger players like Misfit who play keepers, there are so many pivots, so many pivot in, so many pivots out that I didn't even know about. It got me like really thinking like you can't just read a guide and then expect to know the comp. Like there's too many variables in this game for a simple like two board diagram to actually explain it to you, right? Like for me it's like you have to understand the functionality, you have to understand not only the functionality of the units, like what they actually do in the comp, but also like the functionality of the items itself, right? And like obviously, right, like oh, you could just sub another attack speed item for another attack speed item, right? but at the end of the day, it's like you're trying to replicate the win condition for the comp in unideal situations because you're not always going to get best in slot items, right? This set right now is it's easier with the armory for sure, but I think ultimately, like, you're not going to get best in some items, and you're not always going to get best in slot characters, right? So then it becomes a question of how do you actually make this work when everything's not ideal, right? And then that also begs the question of like, when do you consider the pivot? Lux, the silence means that I'm passing it off to you.
Next time you say you're passing it. But I feel like I want to add something before. It's like when you enter a game, right? Do you have a game plan? You know what I mean? Like, do you have a plan? It's like, what should your level 8 board look like, right? Do you have a plan where it's like, what am I gonna look for? You know, what comp am I gonna play? Like, when in the game do you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm probably playing this, right? Like, that's like the most important thing. It's like a lot of people don't have a game plan until like super late in the game, and then that's when they get super dizzy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like you can't have a game plan so early to the point where it's like at 2-1, like, okay, I'm gonna force this comp. You know what I mean? Like, it sometimes doesn't work out because you might get a lobby where everybody's contesting you, right? It's like at the point, it's like, when do you have a game plan, right? People need to understand that when you play a game like this, when you enter a game, like, you have to have a plan. Usually at 4-1 is where I'm like, okay, cool, I have a direction, I want to head towards this direction, kind of thing, right? Sometimes it might be earlier, but I usually don't go too late. It's like at least 4-1, I know I just single out to like 2-3 comps I want to play, right? That's a lot of people don't do. It's like they get super dizzy and don't know what they want to play and wonder why they bought 4. It's because they're trying to hold too many things, right? They spread themselves too thin, and they're like, they don't know what I should be playing. For instance, in a case where it's like you have items to play Aphelios, Draven, and Jax, right? But their own comps are all very different units, right? And there'll be people where it's like they'll try to hold units for every one of those 3 comps, right? You don't have enough space, right? And it gets extremely dizzy, and you're holding so much econ on your bench, right? You're hurting yourself like within like next 2-3 rounds, right? Like in that case, it's like you need to cut your losses, be like, okay, I'm just forcing this comp, right? You need to understand, you need to have a direction in the game, right? If you don't have a direction in the game, you're going to get really, really lost and get super dizzy, right? That's one thing I was going to add earlier. But back to what you said before about um, playing flexibly and stuff like that. It's just personal playstyle, right? There'll be people who likes to want one trick comps. There's also players who likes to play flex, right? It's just up to you, right? Both works, right? Like, you can hit challenger with either playstyle. It's like really up to you. The only problem right now is beginning of new sets. The patches are very, very, very have very high variance between the comps. Like, one comp can be super strong for one patch and then become extremely weak the next patch, right? So when you one tricking a comp, you have to understand that your comp might go from like the best comp to the worst comp with the matter of days. You know what I mean? Or someone's going to invent something new, right? And just straight up beat your comp. Or like they'll be contesting your units even though they're not playing your comp. It's like stuff like that can be very, very annoying for a one trick, right? But there's a lot of good one trick players, right? So Misfit, I see him as like a one trick, right? Yes, he plays different comps, but when he sits down and understands a comp, he excels at the comp, right? He becomes like one of the best players at that comp, right? Richie is a very, very good at one tricking as well, right? This is why I picked him for Discord Rivals, because I understand that he will sit down for the next 2-3 days and discover a brand new comp that no one else plays, and he'll play it to its best, right? And that's why I really like these people and like to pick their brains about this certain comp, because I see myself flex, right? I don't flex into like 6 billion comps. I flex like between 3 to 5 comps, which is a lot already. So it's like I'm really like, yes, I have my favorites, but I do play a little bit more flex, right? Well, on the other hand, you have people like Bandit, right? Bandit's a very, very flexible player. He'll slam all kinds of items that you don't think he'd be slamming, right? And then he can run with it. It would just go 1-1-1, right? He's just like super flexible player, and he understands what items are very good and how flexible they are and how to play each individual comp separately, right? If you go through his match history, it's all kind of random shit, right? He's like one of the players I look up to as a flex player, right? That I'm like friends with, right? And I pick his brain and watch him play as well, right? So back to blind. What other questions do you want to ask me?
I want to know what Twyla thinks.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Uh,
information to take in.
yeah, but like as you said, when I go into a game, I try to have a game plan. Like I usually go, okay, I want to play Aphelios, and then the more the game progresses, the more I'm not hitting the Aphelios units, I'm not hitting the items. I need another comp, and then I'm dizzy because I'm like, okay, there's like five different comps that I can go. Which one do I go? And then I just go eighth.
Because you get too dizzy because there's like 5 different comps, right?
Yep.
Usually in that case, it'll be like when you enter a game, right? You don't really have a plan. You have a general idea what comp you want to play, so you go for the carousel item, right? For instance, we play Jax, right?
Yep.
Let's talk about Jax. Jax is too overrated right now. I don't want to talk about Jax. Don't contest me. We'll go back to the topic of Fellas, right? What is his items? You know what I mean? Like he wants like IE, Deathblade, BT, right? Rageblade, Hurricane, like whatever, right? Last
Hmm.
Whisper even. So we're like go for like a very high priority item, like AKA sword, right? Then we later on realize that we don't have any affiliates item. Like so basically this puts us in a state of mind where it's like until after 1-4, where it's like you get all your 3 items, you get to think about cool, what are these items built into? What could they build into? Right? And then use that, you eliminate comps that you don't think you'll be able to play, right? And then you continue on to play whatever you can with your items on your board. And then you go to a point at 4-1, and it's like, okay, cool. And you relook at your items again. It's like, this is what I have, right? What can these items play into what comps, right? Then you eliminate more comps where you settle down to like 2-3 comps. So then you're like, cool, I need to collect units for this or that comp, right? And then at 5-1, you do a full pivot, right? That's what it should be like, right? It shouldn't. It's like that's how seamless it should be. But most games it shouldn't be like that. Like there's a lot of thinking into it, right? Some games where you like have 80 items, but you never like you only hit AP champions. It's like really really annoying and stuff like that. And those games like it can be considered low roll, right? And then you get like hate yourself over hindsight. It's like, oh, why did I slam Morelos plus Bloodthirster when I could have slammed like JG, Gunblade and stuff like that, right? It's like don't think too much about hindsight in the game. Always try to plan ahead, right? The more you think about hindsight stuff, the more you're going to confuse yourself in the next 2 steps, right? Always look forward. Don't worry about looking backwards.
Yeah, because if you slime those items, it's probably because you needed them to keep health at that point, and there's like no point being mean on yourself, I guess.
Yeah, it's like when you slam items, right? Slam was how should I say? Slam what's considered flexible. Understand what is flexible, right? It's based off the matter, right? It's gonna change. It's forever gonna change. This is what happens. Like this, we have to do is just talk to people. Right? You're in the staff chat. There's a lot of good players in staff chat. You literally can hit like the coaches up and be like, "Hey, look, what items are you guys slamming? Like, what comps are you guys playing? You know what I mean?" Or you go to general chat and do Pepega, loudspeaker, what's OP this patch, and spam that. Someone's gonna say something, right? And then from then on, right, you look at the comps and it's like, okay, some people don't like playing AP comps. Some people don't like playing AD comps, right? People have their favorite comps and you kind of just do pick or choose, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's not as like straightforward as like, I Google TF tactics. Okay, what is the best comp? Okay, S tier. Like, what is S tier right now? Jax or some shit. I play 6 skirmishes every single game. You know what I mean? Like, find out what people you close to you who are better than you play. Go talk to them why they're succeeding at that comp, right? That's the best way to improve. It's like, I want to play this comp, so I want to play Jax, right? Who is the best skirmisher player around, right? And you go to head to that person that you can communicate with and hit them up. Say, look, I'm looking to play this comp, right? That you're really, really good at. Can you teach me how to play this comp? Or do you have or you just straight up try to play this comp and you have your issues, right? Then you bring this question up to the person who's really like knowledgeable about the comp. For instance, is best example I'm gonna give is like Blind going to Misfit about keepers, right? He always been playing keepers, but then he realized that there's a better keeper player, so he comes to them with the questions, and then he learns how to play keeper better, right? So when you get familiar with yourself with that comp to the point where you think you understand it to a decent degree, but of course this will be someone else who's going to understand it better. They can go interact with them, and then you can like bounce off ideas and learn how to play a certain comp better, right? This is from a one trick perspective. Being flexible is completely different, right? You have to understand what are the S tier comps and like what is that S tier, but more like meta comps. Who's the carries, what items they use, right? How to build around them. So it's like a lot more complicated, right? You don't play the comp to its best ability. The chance of you winning is considerably higher, right? Whereas a one trick will understand that comp to like the core, where it's like every single micromanagement, they understand which one's better, right? Could be over like 2 items, you know what I mean? Or like which item should be shadow priority, right? Best example here is like what's more priority, shadow QSS on Jax or shadow hurricane on Jax, right? So like a lot of newer players don't understand, like when playing these comp, which one's better. Like if you have to make a choice, you know what I mean? Which one do you sack, right? It's like stuff like that. It's like very, very minor things that the people who play the comp considerably a lot I can give you the minor details for, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like
Yeah, and I mean, I'd even go so far as to say like if you're not a strong player like inherently, uh, I think one tricking is a really good thing to do because the more set variables you have within a game of variance, the better, right? Like imagine if you played poker and you had like one card and you kept that one card throughout the whole game, right? You would almost definitely know like when you'd go in it, like and when you'd fold, right? And that's kind of how I see one tricking, right? Because it's like the way you pivot in to the comp is what makes or break you. Like that setup, that early game setup, like you could have like let's keep going with like the Aphelios example, right? Like if you're running Aphelios, you want to play like Nightbringers, right? You could have like an abomination opener, right? Like that's just your strongest board, right? But the pivot into Aphelios is like that might be a little wonky, and it takes time to really build up the knowledge and the skill to be able to pull that off, right? But if you're always playing different comps, you're not going to know how to fully master that pivot. But then those skills also apply to other comps, right? Like once you understand how to go from a bomb into Aphelios, then it's like you can go a bomb into Draven, right? Because you understand the transition of like what units are best to keep in for the long haul until you get like I don't know your rel or whatever, right? Or what units are just like you want to get rid of them as soon as possible, and they were just trade bots, right? Like these kind of things are that's what I love about this game is there's so many things to learn and there's so many ways how to like approach it, right? But I feel like a lot of people just don't even try to learn one comp and they're so focused on playing flex, right? And like hey, if you can play flex, I honestly think like flex is the most optimal way to play the game, right? Like that's what it's all about. It's taking whatever variables the game gives you and making the best out of it, right? But you have to, I think you have to start from one corner, right? Like you have to start from one point and learn it well, because you only understand perspective once you actually have walked in someone else's shoes. If that analogy makes sense.
I'm gonna quote Coleman here, right? He's like, if you can't even bring one comp that you play to challenger, how can you consider yourself a good player, right? If you can't even play one comp well, you know what I mean? Like, how can you even play other comps? You know, like multiple comps well, right? That's what comes down to me, like master of none, jack of all trades, master of none, or like just master of one comp. You know what I mean? You can't be master of one comp, especially in this set. It's super easy to force things, right? And you can run away with it, right? While playing flex, you're always your optimal comp, right? The chance of you winning, right? The lobby is considerably lower compared to someone who one tricks, right? Another
Yeah.
thing was quoting socks. I'm not like quote for quote, But I'm just paraphrasing what Sock said during Worlds 4.5, where it's like he's not scared of other flex players because he understands he's the best flex player, right? He's more scared of people who are one tricks, who are the pinnacle of their comp that they play, right? Because they understand all the small gimmicks of that comp, every single minor detail from which unit to sub in for who's to hold items, how to transition from each level, right? To positioning on every single hex, right? Against every single other comp, right? That's what he's worried about, right? Sox is one of the best flex players in this game, right? And him saying that is like saying how when a very good one trick can take that comp so far compared to like a lot of other players.
Yeah, it's like that Bruce Lee quote. I fear not the man who knows 1,000 kicks. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times.
For sure, right? Like, don't shit talk one tricks because they'll play that comp way better than you do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like
It is.
again, like it's knowing how to pivot in, knowing how to pivot out, knowing like how do I sub in Mystics, how do I sub in Ironclads, like how do I respond to this, how do I respond to that. These are all things that just take practice and time, right? And like it feels kind of shitty to say to somebody, but it's like you just got to play it.
Yeah, just
Sorry,
learn.
Twyla. I know we just went on like a huge tangent and talked all over you. What do you
No,
think? What are your
that's
thoughts? Let me
fine.
know.
I agree that it's basically the same to as in League, right? Like if someone like I don't fear someone that plays every role and every possible champion that they can play in that role, but like to take the case of Box, I wouldn't be even close to his Riven. I wouldn't want to be close to that. I like you would get your ass kicked no matter the matchup.
Yeah, I'm scared of the shaker mains. Fuck those guys. Those guys are crazy.
True, they have like the Giga Brain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially when they know how to tether the clone. Like they know
yeah.
how to like reset the clone at the right time. It's like, oh, dude, that's just like it's a nightmare to deal with, right?
Now it's a
And I
little
feel
bit easier to do because they added the distance marker as to when your clone is gonna TP back to you.
oh right. That's right.
But yeah,
But
I
even
agree.
still, right? Like it's all these. It's at the end of the day, like I feel like it's all about these small inches, right?
Yep.
And once you are familiar with a comp and you know you go to the extent of one tricking, it's like you know how to grab those extra inches, right? Like sometimes when it comes to TFT, it's like it can come down to 1 HP. Like some of the most frustrating bot fours are when you know like you end up fifth and the guy it's like a 1 HP difference and you're like, come on, dude.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like always, try to play your best. Like that one HP difference can cost you the game, right? And it does a lot of times.
Yeah, it all adds up, right? Like
Yeah.
it's funny going from like low elo into do you even consider masters high elo, right? But like it's funny going from like silver to even diamond where it's like in silver you can just get away with so many things and then eventually it's like you gotta sweat for every HP.
Yep. And that's where it's like the game becomes fun, where like every move matters, right? Mispositioning that one unit and then they die, so you don't kill the target and they come back next turn stronger, and then you cannot win again. It's like, it's doomed. It's just like, there's so much minor stuff in TFT that people overlook, right? And all they think is like, shit RNG, right? Blame everything on Mod Dog. And it's like, no, it's not like that. Like, there's so many small minor details you're skipping over that you could have done, right, to be better, but nah, just blame on something else. And I
Look,
feel like
I'll
that's
still blame Mordog that I don't have my X Gold Umbra.
you just didn't pay enough, bro.
You just didn't
Bro,
pay enough, man.
I've put way too much money on this game and I don't have my little legends.
What do you mean? Like,
What's your favorite little legend?
Ex Gold Umbra.
Oh,
Dude, let me tell you, my journey of getting every single fucking dragon just so I can get Aurelian Small. I got every single one of them maxed out just so I can get him. And that's a BG. But I
that's a
mean, I
BG.
enjoyed the
Aurelion Small's
game.
great.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the game. I enjoy supporting my dog and the team, right? Like they pump out good content and I play so much other games. Like there's no reason for me not to like support it. So I don't really mind it as much.
For sure. I mean, I think it's always like this catch 22 of like everybody's complaining like, "Oh, we want TFT to be a real esport now." And it's like,
Yeah,
well, just think about the monetization though. Like did you buy everything yet?
yeah, no,
Like
like
you're expecting like, like six-figure prize pools and it's like did you invest into them? Did you put money into it? Because they're a
mm,
company at the end of the day, right?
yeah, it's all about the money, bro. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
But
With
yeah,
that being said, I think this is a great transition into competitions and events.
yeah, agreed. About how shit our competitions are. Did
Whoa,
you
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Dude, the timing on some of our competitions is so bad for me to even like show up. I can't even show up. And that's kind of depressing. It'll be
Oh,
nice
that's
to
because
be
you're in.
more.
That's because
Have
you're in
You land?
Australia.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. Like, have you thought about not being in Australia?
Nah, bro. Imagine not being in the country right now that's like not on lockdown. You're funny, bro.
Nah, don't worry about it. Come move to Canada. Come work at Player Diff headquarters. We'll go to Nyers every weekend and we'll just drink and it'll be great.
Agreed. I'm down. What if the headquarters
Hey, all
is a
right.
nice place?
We can play his board games. He's got tons of
It'll
board games.
it'll be lit.
So for the people who don't know, Twyla, you are the lead events team staff, elite
Lead event staff, yeah.
lead event staff. Yeah, perfect. People grilled me for saying Lena was a head coach when he's lead coach. I'm like, head sounds so much better.
It's the
Like
same
it
thing. It's literally the
is
same
the same
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
It is the same thing. So Twyla, for the people who don't know, you are the lead event staff.
And the head
What do you
coach,
do?
yes.
And head coach,
And
yeah.
head coach,
Sorry,
and
Lino.
also head admin and head moderator.
Yeah, it's just
Uh,
your server now. Yeah.
but yeah, so what I do right now is I make sure that we have at least one person per week being able to run the tournaments, the weekly tournaments that we have. I also try to check if we need to recruit some more people, and I try as much as I can to come up with ideas of tournaments, or at least I take uh, community ideas into consideration, and I see how we can organize them, how we could make sure that it runs smoothly with the bot that we have, or if we have to do it manually, like our Discord rivals, that will be done all manually. And that's pretty much it. I just try to manage a whole team. I also try to find uh, some partners with whom we could do some sponsorship, but at this point, I haven't received any responses yet.
Cool. And when so I've been in gaming communities for a very long time, and I've been a part of many teams, and I've helped run events in many different games, and I feel like for the most part, a lot of people take you and the event staff for granted. Um, why don't you give everybody at home just a small glimpse of how hard it is to actually run a tournament for TFT?
Uh, with the current bot that we have, not everything is automatic. So, as far as hardship goes, it's basically when the bot decides to die, or at least not to take someone's sign up into account, like that's when you have to go into uh, quote unquote customer support mode, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry this happened, and you have to find a solution. Like either you have enough people to bring them into the tournament, and you're like, look, I will just get you into it. No worries. I'm sorry that the bot's being kind of an ass right now. Uh, we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And then there's the scoring, which is also done manually, and that's also when you have to go uh, behind people who don't put their score um, in the channel, and you're like, well, I guess if you're not responding, you're going eighth, right? Uh, and the other difficult thing I would say is managing the expectation of the people, because uh, well, for every sort of uh, non-standard tournament, say, or Discord rivals, people expect either to be in it, be involved, or at least that it's smooth. But then we do it the same way that we have always done, and we get some complaints, as we've seen with the tournament that we're running this Saturday with the Discord rivals. And that's when you have to be like, okay, what can we do to improve? How can we put that into place? And all of that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a lot. I mean, I when I first saw it on Friday, last Friday, I was almost like losing my mind, like pulling my hair out. Like I was so shocked at the amount of work that goes on behind it, because it's not just like, oh, let's just run a tournament and gather people. It's like you actually have to group them specifically in eight, right? You have to keep track of which lobbies are which, and then the points of everybody, how they score, and then you also have to randomize them every few rounds. It's a lot, right? And I
Yeah.
think especially now, in like when it comes to like online games, we're so used to this instant gratification of just find match. Oh, my queue popped, press accept, and you know what I mean. Like it's so fast and seamless that it makes it hard for a community to really like live up to that standard. Like that's no easy feat.
Just ask Motok to include it in. Easy clap.
But here's the thing too, is like I was talking to a developer for who develops Discord bots and some other things, uh, and it's like there's only like one generic API for Riot, so it's not even like you could pull all the TFT APIs over for the bot. It's like it hasn't had the actual support for it to happen, which is kind of, that's like pretty unfortunate, right? Because you would think if you were a game developer, you would want to help out your community in terms of enabling them to make bots.
Or
Yeah,
like any
but
other
at the
useful
same
information.
but yeah, at the same time, like the main thing we're trying to improve on with trying to get a new bot in place is a stability, because the one we have usually has problems when we start having big tournaments being 80 plus. We've ran the um, qualifiers, and like the first day, 128 people instantly slammed the bot, and bot is like, well, I guess I'm out. See ya. And
Damn.
then like you have to wait 15 minutes, and now there's 2 hours sign up before the actual tournament starts, but having to wait 15 minutes for the bot starting to take people into account. In those 15 minutes, there's everyone that signed up that is pinging the event staff, being like, what happened? I reacted, but nothing's happening. I'm not sure if I'm in. and then you have to be like, well, I'm sorry, the bot's just being an ass, give it a little bit, and then that's when you also have to take their name manually and like put it on a notepad or something in case the bot doesn't come back and that you have to do everything manually.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, and it's definitely tough. And you know, like my heart goes out to you, really,
Well,
because
thank you.
it's a lot of work, and it's all voluntary, right? It's not like you're on
Yep.
salary. It's not like it's you're getting paid to do it, right? And at the end of the day, you know, you're pushing the community forward, you're pushing the game forward. But I also understand that, you know, sometimes people just aren't so understanding or so forgiving.
Yeah, but that's also why my professional life helps because not many people know, but I work in IT support, and that's the same thing. Like they do not appreciate the work that goes into it until everything is fine for them, right? And like if everything goes well, it you usually don't get any recognition. But like, boy oh boy, when something goes wrong, you get your ass handed to you. But that's when you have to keep cool and be like understanding. Like they also just wanted to play, and we don't have control over the bot, right? Like when there's a problem over it, when there's a problem with it, like the only thing that we can do is ping the devs and be like, "Yo, shit's not working," and that's about it. That's like, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of work. That's also why we like as of right now, I think we have a big enough team for the small tournaments that we're running. But if it keeps growing and if we finally start getting sponsorship at some point, we might have to start recruiting some more people that may be more active to run those tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a handful. I mean, it's not an easy feat whatsoever. Um, and I feel like the people who have no experience running events are probably the quickest to criticize. I don't know, Lux. What do you think?
About running tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, thank God I'm not part of it because that shit looks like a pain in the ass to handle. But at the same time, it's like the fact that a lot of stuff is manually inputted, it makes it really, really hard, right? Because there's not a lot of staff to do events, right? And when you don't have a lot of people and then they can't handle everything by themselves because of how many people are participating and stuff like that, it gets extremely hard on them and it kind of pushes them away from wanting to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, why am I putting myself under this suffering just to make this work? You know, it's so much easier if I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And then we get even less people. So like people who are participating in these tournaments have to be like be more appreciative, be more grateful for these people who are doing their jobs, right? Right? Like because without them, there's no tournaments, right? I think that's what people don't understand. Like, yes, there are going to be issues in the tournament, but like they need to be more mindful that there's actually someone behind it, right? And then sometimes they're the only person, right? They can only do so much, you know what I mean? And there's like 50 plus of you guys, right? Just take it easy. You know what I mean? They're trying their best to get it fixed, right? That's their job. Just let them do their job, right? And I feel like
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
people need to understand.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know, but you know, these tournaments that are happening in the evening time for North America, it's like Twyla's in Europe, so you know what? Sometimes when the tournament's over, it's like 5 a.m.,
Yep.
which is crazy, right? Which is crazy, and most people have no idea how much work you're actually putting into it.
Yeah, it's like be appreciative of what people do.
Like some people do. do appreciate you and they let you know, but compared to the amount of complaints when something goes wrong, and like in my head, it's like, well, do you want a 5 minute delay or do you want just no tournaments?
Yeah, 100%. It's like,
But like that's not what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah, I know there's something, we're fixing it, and that's it. Like we try to do it as smoothly as we can. That's another reason that we're trying to create a new bot in collaboration with Dev. We're trying to automate a lot more things. I don't think so. As Blind said, with the API that Riot has, I don't think that the automatic scoring of the games can be done. But what I would like to see personally is basically, how the scoring works in our Discord is once you finish your game, you go into a channel. There's your groups with like reactions from 1 to 8, and you react to whatever place you are, right? So if you're first, you click first. What I want to see is that when I click first, either this goes into a Google Doc and everything is manual, is automatically generated. So like if I get a first in the first round, I get 15 points, um, and that's what I really like because this is what takes the most time in our tournaments. Like you have downtime. Like when people play their games, you're basically not doing anything unless someone pings you and they're like, "Yo, someone's AFK," and you have to either find a replacement, which can be done on the first round and first round only, um, or if someone's like pinging you in tournament chat and saying, "Yo, I didn't get in," and then you go into the logs of the bot, you see that they didn't check in, despite the 5 different pings that we offer when we run tournaments. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see. Everything being more automatic, but I don't want to remove the human aspect out of it. Also,
Yeah, for sure. It's tough, right? Like it's customer service is hard in general. And then try doing customer service and then having to run a whole bunch of logistics on the back end. And mind you, like, you know, auto chess, this type of game is new, right? It's
yeah,
it's just hit 2 years, right? And it's a type of game that has a very different tournament system. I mean, we're still trying to figure out the most ideal tournament system. That has been a point of controversy for a while now, right, Lex?
pardon? Wait, I missed out on that part. But yeah,
I missed out on that part, but yes, I agree.
I agree. Just to get
Tournament formats.
yeah, tournament
Tournament
formats
formats are say again.
in TFT, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hard.
tournament
Yeah.
formats.
Sorry, like I completely blanked out for some reason. It's 4 a.m., so like I deserve some like slack. But anyways, but yeah, TFT formatting is they're still playing around with it because like it only been what like 2 years, right?
Yeah, we're coming up on 2 years now.
Yeah, so it's like so much change in 2 years, right? People don't just instantly figure out what's the best way to do things. You know what I mean? Like it's built up over time. Like right now, it's like they're still testing with it, right? Like it might not be the best, but you give it more time, they'll find the right formula for it. Like League of Legends didn't start out to be the best how it is. You know what I mean? They're always changing, right? Every couple of years, the tournament like standard gets changed, shit gets flipped and people get mad. Some people happy about it, and like, it's, you know, it's change. Like people just had to deal with it. Like right now, like I feel like they're still testing waters, and hence like why TFT isn't such a big esport scene, right? Purely because it's a new game. There's no player base, well, not enough actually, and not enough funding. I think that's the important part. And another thing is like what I feel like they shouldn't follow the normal like League of Legends standard of doing tournaments. They should follow how like old CS:GO, like DreamHack and shit like that, where it's like fucking LAN tournaments, like in-house kind of thing. You know what I mean? And just like sign up, participate. Right? I feel like if we can get like shit like that together and get like small sponsors to like multiple tournaments throughout the month, throughout the year, even, right? I feel like that'll bring in even more TFT players. Right? That's how I see it. Like I feel like you don't have to be a big tournament where it's like a huge setup for TFT. It's literally, hey, we have 128 slots this weekend. Anybody want to show up? This is the prize pool. You know what I mean? You know, right? Like something like that. And get sponsored by some random company, whatever you want to name, right? And I feel like that would be pretty cool compared to like this qualifier, that qualifier, like etc. 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 Right?
Yeah, it's tough. It's a growing scene for sure. I'm really interested to actually get on more like tournament organizers and actually talk to them. I feel like the more we can talk about how events are being handled and what strategies and tactics people use, the not only the better our team will get, but as well, the better the whole community at large will get.
Yeah, for sure.
Since we have you here, Twyla, is there anything like you're super interested in learning from other tournament organizers?
Um, Windows sounds.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why my Windows sounds so.
But yeah, the only thing that I would like to learn right now is how to approach companies for sponsorship opportunities. That's one of the things that I think I'm lacking as an event lead, uh, because that's something that I should be doing. I should be seeking out how to uh, monetize tournaments for both the players and the team that is running it. Um, and that's something that I've never done in my life. And um, like someday, Nair slid into my DM and is like, "Do you know how to find sponsorships?" And I'm like, "No, but I'll give it a shot." And I feel like in life, every opportunity that you have, you should take them and try to learn from them. That's also why I decided to become an event staff and, more importantly, event staff lead, because um, I feel like it plays an important role in the community into advancing into a more open e- but at the same time more competitive scene.
For sure, for sure, for sure. That's definitely a hard part, right? I think luckily at this point in time, like most companies are getting used to sponsoring esport events. Like we're fortunate in terms of the timing that like it's starting to grow. But it's definitely like a hard skill, right? Because that's pure marketing. That's pure business relations. I can talk more about it with you after we're done here. Um, but I think now's a great time for us to wrap up. Twyla, was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Not really, other than join the Discord, come play with us on in our weekly tournaments. At the time, there's eggs to be had on NA and OCE. So if Little Legends are your thing, come play with us.
Perfect, beautiful. And once again, you can join us again at the Teamfight Tactics Discord at discord.gg/Teamfight Tactics. Nailed it. Luxinder,
Me?
anything else to add, my friend?
Me? If you want to get premium coaching from me, you know where to hit me up. Let's go.
Perfect.
You can go
Well,
to DMs or I have my forms. I'll post up a new form later on for set 5 where I'm a bit more comfortable with the set because going
I
8th.
haven't seen your premium coaching ad yet. Where is it?
Oh, I just didn't put it up because let me tell you, the B patch, when B patch hit, you've never seen someone draw a straight line with that fucking graph in a TFT low chest before, but I'll show you mine. It's literally a straight line, and it's disappointing.
But
Right.
it's a
All
straight
right, you're gonna
line
show me.
down.
No.
You're
The
gonna
horizontal line. That's how fucking freaky it was. Right. I just stuck on D4 like 0 LP for like 10 games. And I'll let you know that's not fun.
Probably not the best thing to say after you plug your coaching, eh?
Yeah, but after like a 11.10 hit, we're climbing again. It's so free.
All
Like,
right.
I should
Well,
have
with that said, we're signing off here. If you're listening here, if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Please, 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 please let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd have liked to hear more of. Let me know what you'd like to hear less of. It really matters to me.
to
Thank
us.
you once again. Are you reading the comments?
Yes, if I'm not replying.
All right, I'll take your word for it. Well, once again, Twyla, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate you having here.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Notice
Yep,
how I said our Lux.
Yep.
Finally,
I'll
it's a
catch you
joint.
guys. Oh,
Oh,
what was
Finally,
that?
it's
Say
a
again?
joint. Finally, it's a joined podcast.
It was never a joint podcast.
I don't know. I run the show.
Yes. All right, Lux. Sign us off. Sign us off. I gotta go.
Sign us off. Blind. It's all on you now. Okay.
This is why we pay you the big bucks, Lux. This is why we pay you the big
And the
bucks.
big bugs.
All
What
right,
big bug?
Twyla, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate you. Lucinder, fuck you.
Oh shit.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck you too.
Hey, let's go.